Good evening. Welcome back to Your Divine Moment. I'm Ros Hendrickson. So glad you could join us again today. And of course, it's a special day, and that being Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. I know that God called this man many years ago to move the people of God forward in the civil rights movement. And I feel compelled today to carry that torch and to continue the legacy of the dream that God had given this man. And so I feel compelled to reach out to the young people of this generation, knowing that we have to raise up new leadership and the areas of where God is calling us into, and that place is a place of greatness. I think about the scripture found in Isaiah, the first chapter, around about the 17th verse, and this is the word I want to leave with you today. And I feel that He is giving me this word to share with you today and to perhaps place a seed in your heart. And Isaiah said, learn to do well. And he had the same situation even back in his day as Martin Luther King did. And that being to impact and to help the less fortunate, and those being the widows and the orphans, the oppressed, and those who were oppressed in society, the less fortunate, and those who maybe perhaps were on a lower economic level. And today I want to encourage your heart with three things. And the first thing is you have to know who you are. The second thing is to know your giftings. And of course, the third thing is don't ever compare yourself with anyone else. And I recall a time in my own life, of course we all make mistakes, and we have to learn over time from the mistakes that we have made early on. And I remember one of the early mistakes I made. I had been working in government not very long, maybe a couple of years, and of course I went on to work in state government for several years, worked with senators, and I worked with high-level politicians, of course, governors and congressmen. But I remember early on I was in a position and I worked with a director, and I was very young, and I remember I was in an evaluation meeting, and she was telling me about how well I was doing. Of course, not really knowing myself, not knowing my giftings, and definitely comparing myself with someone else. I found myself asking her, well, how am I doing in comparison to my coworker? And she said, Rosalind, first of all, don't ever compare yourself with anyone else. Realize who you are and learn what your gifts are. And she said, don't ever make the mistake of comparing yourself with someone else. She said, Rosalind, in fact, this person that you're speaking of is not even qualified to be here. And the other thing is that she's actually trying to keep up with you. And I learned a very important lesson at that time and in that moment, and from others who went on to mentor me, is that you can go on to do great things, but the first thing you need to learn is to learn to do well. Take an attitude every day with you that you're going to do your best, bring your best effort, do your best at whatever you have set your hands to do. And there's no one on this planet who's ever done great things, who went on to great levels of success, such as Martin Luther King Jr., who did not know who they were, who did not know their giftings, and did not compare themselves with someone else. They learned not to do those. That last thing is to compare themselves with someone else. And I'm so grateful that God used His gifts, that God used this man who knew who he was and who knew who God had called him to be, and he knew the person he was and the gifts and the call that God placed in his life. So I want to encourage you to learn to do well. Bring a spirit of excellence with everything that you do. And I encourage you, and I know and I believe that your dreams will be realized. So be encouraged today, and God bless you so much. Thank you for joining us right here on Your Divine Moment. Thank you. Bye-bye now.